This moment, right now, is our time. It wasn't that long ago. We were under attack from every corner. They had us surrounded, and they were stepping on our throats. Non-union staffing programs designed to undermine the very bedrock of our apprenticeship programs were considered a certainty. Two-person crew laws were getting steamrolled by what was then a hostile administration that did the rail carriers' biddings and ignored the safety of our members. States across the U.S. were adopting right-to-work laws. There were even some provinces in Canada that were considering right-to-work laws. And let's not forget the pandemic.
Our union in the labor movement is resurgent. Across our two nations, we are growing, we are winning, and we are putting our members to work. But this moment of opportunity didn't fall in our lap. During the last 5 years, we were tested by political strife, by unparalleled greed in our nation's rail system, by unprecedented workforce demands, and, of course, by a global pandemic. Throughout it all, SMART has stood resolute in its mission, unwavering as we faced each challenge. In the wake of a global pandemic, SMART members were essential to our countries. On the railroad, our members never stopped moving freight, keeping essential goods moving. On commuter trains and buses, SMART Transit members transported their fellow essential workers from day one, ensuring that public transportation continued to operate safely. And, despite the risks, our sheet metal members showed up to the job site each day, helping keep Americans and Canadians safe at work.
I remember back how scared people were. So No Strip started small and simple, like most great things do. My wife works at the local hospital, or worked at the local hospital, and a nurse called because she was making her homemade masks, and basically said the only part she was missing was a small strip that holds it tight to the nose. So we went out and grabbed the mask that was out on the shop floor, ripped it off, pretty much determined what the metal was, had some in the rack and cut it up, and gave her a box of like 100. To be able to mobilize that quickly, the infrastructure was there. We have halls almost everywhere in the country, so it made sense.
Being furloughed last fall was pretty tough. After working throughout most of the pandemic and keeping the trains running, it was kind of hard to be told, we don't need you anymore. During the furlough, the most important thing to me was staying involved in the union. The only thing that was going to get us back to work was working with our brothers and sisters. We wrote letters to senators, to congresspeople, state representatives, and making sure that there was support for the American Rescue Act, and that was what was going to get us back to work.
Coming out of the pandemic, SMART has been ready, armed to fight for pro-worker legislation and prepared to answer the call of extraordinary workforce demands. And across our two nations, SMART members met that challenge.
This is the most work in this infrastructure bill for our members in 20 to 25 years, and it's creating good paying union jobs, construction jobs. I just appreciate SMART leadership, the Biden administration doing what needed to be done to get this passed, because we really needed this in all of our cities and in all of our communities to build back the working class.
There's 3 buildings up right now, and they said there's like 20 more to go after that. So, I believe we're set here for work for the next at least 5 to 10 years, as long as everything goes smooth.
Over the last 5 years, political developments in the U.S. and Canada created new threats to organized labor, with anti-union politicians attacking our members' rights. It was SMART that fought back, protecting our union apprenticeships and standing against attempts to derail union transportation jobs. In some of the most hostile political climates our two nations have ever seen, SMART stood against billionaire benefactors and anti-labor lobbyists, challenging politicians and making huge gains that will change workers' lives for generations to come.
We met the challenges of right to work. We overcame that with strength and unity in labor. It was brutal. We went in there and fought right inside there. We fought the politicians, even the ones we thought were on the fence. non-labor friendly. Once Governor Whitmer got control of the House and Senate, it was done, right? She knows she had the power, and she just pushed it through.
The worker mobility is a tax credit for the members. All of construction have an advantage to write off their expenses when they travel to jobs and relocate out of their area for over 150 kilometers. And that gives them the incentive and relieves the pressure for moving and relocating for a short time to do the work. We did start a letter writing campaign, and we had close to 5,000 letters.
Union is getting a grant in the amount of $602,227, and therein we also have a 47% match that we have to make. All in all, the grant program will be in excess of $1 million. It's the Consolidated Rail Infrastructure Safety Improvement Grant, or CRISI, and it's sponsored by the FRA. This absolutely is groundbreaking. We are the first ever rail labor union to get a CRISI grant.
Every single day in this nation, a life is saved because of the actions of a two-person crew.
It was huge, and it shows the power of the union when you put the members in motion, because the strength of the union is always the membership. And the fact that you had over 13,500 comments in support and only 60 against is a no-brainer. If you're making a rulemaking and you need support to justify why you're doing that, you have all of these comments to say, look, this is overwhelming evidence that this is what the public wants. This is what we should be doing. I'm very proud of what they've done. This regulation is unlike any I've ever seen in my time. It's a high bar, as it should be, and it will make the railroads show that, one, what they're doing is as safe or safer, but then two, it opens up the public comment process all over again. So when they go in for the special approval, now it's got to go through the Federal Register. Now you got to allow the public comment process, and that's where we're at our strongest, when our membership is fully involved. We can turn those dogs loose and let them hunt one more time and make sure that we're weighing in the way we should be.
The last 5 years were unlike any we've seen before. From a pandemic that shut down our world to unheard of domestic growth that is changing the landscape of our workforce, no one could have predicted the trials our members have faced. Through it all, SMART remains steadfast, pushing the limits of permissibility, challenging the status quo, and winning for workers at every level across Canada and the United States. We staffed mega projects from coast to coast. We won pro-worker legislation across the provinces. We secured two-person crews in freight trains. We kept our members safe and employed during a global pandemic. Brothers and sisters, we met the challenge.